The Justin Robert Young podcast is brought to you, as always, by Stickers or DIAF. Hey, listen, folks. If you want to get your hands on these awesome stickers, well, you should order, and you should really order right now, because 7 stickers for $5. Those are vinyl stickers that can go indoors or outdoors. I'm only going to really be able to ship them to you if you get your orders in before Wednesday, because I go off to Dragon Con on Thursday. So do yourself a favor. Go ahead on over there, Stickers or DIAF right now, and make your order. We ship all over the world, and I'm very excited. Very, very, very excited. Also, if you're going to be at Dragon Con, we will have a special Dragon Con pack. So go ahead, and more details on that to come. I'll probably throw a little thing here in the in the feed. If you're just an audio listener, I'm very excited. I will see you guys at Dragon Con. Also by The Contender, the game of presidential debate. Also at Dragon Con, I will have Contenders and our con exclusive pack as well. Head on over to thecontender.us. Play the social party game that everybody is talking about. You and your friends are up on stage at a televised presidential debate, and you use real presidential quotes and talking points to make your arguments. Man, is it a hoot. Head on over there to thecontender.us. If you use offer code less than greater than, that is our little Diamond Club sign, I will sign your backs. And by patreon.com/JuRY. Big week for the Patreon this week. We've got an announcement that I made on politics, and I will talk about again on this show. But this is now the biggest bargain in podcasting. You pay what you want once a week. Whatever you want. 50 cents, $1, $2, $3, whatever, man. It's up to you. And what do you get in return? Not 1 hour, not 2 hours, not 3 hours, 4 hours. 4 hours of podcasting for $1. 3 episodes of politics, and 1 hour of jury. We only charge you for the jury. The politics is on the house. So head on over there, patreon.com/JuRY. But enough of talking about the show. What do you say we go ahead and do the damn thing?
On the day that we met on the internet, I asked her for a photograph. She sent it over to me, said, I know it's ugly. And I said, girl, ugly ain't the half, look at you. Well, you got blue teeth and you only got 2 teeth, but I kinda like to see you smile. And it appears that over the years you've turned into a big old steaming pile. And she said, yeah, I know I ain't no supermodel. I said, you ain't a hand model, baby, but that's fine, 'cause you're pretty ugly by most people's standards, but you're alright by mine.
Oh, hi. Hi, friends. It's your old pal, Justin Robert Young. Welcome to another episode of the Justin Robert Young podcast. I mean, hell, that's pretty long. Why don't you just call it jury? Another week. Another week has come and gone. Crap. I realize I'm just kind of doing the math in my head on exactly everything that's going to have to happen. Episode's probably going to be recorded next weekend. Pre-recorded next weekend. Not going to try and do a live show next weekend. But this weekend, let's live for us, huh? Let's do our best and rock and roll. We got a lot of stuff to cover here on the show. Number one, we're going to go kind of behind the scenes to a fairly big announcement that we made on Friday. which is that Politics is now going to be a 3-day-a-week show. We're giving each politics iteration its own day of the week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we will be doing politics. We're also going to talk about how to take criticism. We are also going to talk about the moments when anxiety is triggered. So, yeah, it's a lot of laughs. A lot of laughs on this comedy podcast. Oh, look at that. I'm a comedy man doing comedy things, talking about sadness in your dreams. All right, what do we want to start with? Let's start with this. Much like, oh, by the way, also, we have about, I'm going to have to save like 30 minutes for this show just for the emails at the end because you guys were very, very, very voluminous in your prose for talking about whether or not proud can be substituted for impressed. That triggered quite a bit. Man, people wanted to talk about that. This is the first time that I've actually had to suss through the emails and find representative emails. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Normally, I'm just reading whatever comes in. You know, it's not hard to get on the show. You just email in, I'll read it. But if it's happened more than once, it hadn't happened more than 3 times, there's been a subject that people have been so excited to talk about that A, I've had to edit stuff down, but also I've had to, like, just a lot came in. So I had to find, like, ones that represented other ones so everybody's ideas could be represented, if maybe not everybody's emails. Because, I mean, listen, man, come on. I only got so much time on this show. So that'll be the last, 72 hours of the show. We will begin with this, though. It's on Twitter today. And your friend, my friend, the world's friend, Mikey Newman, who is on Twitter at MikeyFace. Mikey does this great YouTube series called Movies with Mikey. If you ain't never seen it, go ahead and get it all up in your life. It's really exceptional. But, like many really smart, brilliant people, work of consequence, work of debate, work of substance often incurs reaction. So somebody went and posted his review of Interstellar onto the Reddit forum r movies. Now, much like a connoisseur of movies would say, to a plot line for which is well worn, you kind of know how this one ends. Artist has his work dissected on Reddit, and very rarely do you have anything of a happy ending coming out of that. Now, I found the reaction to his work kind of interesting, but it was the reaction he had to the reaction that I found curious. Let's start with just the general reaction. Now, if you're not familiar with the Movies with Mikey series, he has kind of consciously taken the tact that he doesn't want to do the, like, Batman versus Superman video essay where he talks about all the problems with a movie. And I've never really talked to him about this, but I have a pet theory that the reason why he doesn't do that is because, I mean, he works at Gearbox Software. They make games. They make art. They make work that is already criticized. So as somebody who is paid as part of the creation process, I think there is a certain sensibility that you get toward not only people criticizing work, but also people who are not in your field, let alone a professional creator criticizing your work. And it's not to say that criticism is invalid unless you are in that field. Like, you can criticize a movie without making a movie. You can criticize anything without having done it. You can criticize a war without being a general, you know? But I think that there is a certain level of sensitivity that comes into criticism once you've been on the other side. I mean, I know for me, I think twice a lot about criticizing other podcasts. I think a lot about criticizing other podcasters, specifically criticizing other independent podcasters. Why? Because I know how it is. I know that I make a ton of mistakes. I know that I say things that are sometimes not what I want. And that's just the slip-ups in the moment. I'm lazy. I don't do everything I should. This podcast is not at its full potential. I am doing my best. But that is not to say that if somebody criticized me, A, I wouldn't take it personally, and B, I wouldn't look at them if they were not doing what I was doing and say, you want to know what? You don't know what goes into this. That's my pet theory. More specifically, I was fascinated because Movies with Mikey is a celebration of films. He finds films that he likes and might have little elements to it that you might not know or you might not have appreciated and brings them to the fore. If you've never watched his stuff, I would highly recommend his Mad Max and his Galaxy Quest reviews. These are two more recent ones. But the Mad Max one was great because I love that movie and I've seen it 4 or 5 times. But he had a lot of little tidbits, little visual tidbits, ways that the filmmaker is using the scope not only of what you see in front of you with your eyes, but also the themes of the characters and the acting performances. It's well done. But Interstellar was rather unique because Interstellar that review had a little more criticism than Mikey ever really puts into it. And it was, in general, like very in the universe kind of criticism. He basically went on a little thing, and it wasn't a hashtag well actually, but he says, hey, listen, this movie would have been responded to better, and it would have been if not a better film, certainly a more understood film if Nolan and his brother, who co-wrote it, spent more time explaining the differences between dimensionalities. Specifically, the dimension that we are in, a 2D dimension or a 3D dimension, a 3D dimension that we are in, and then the 4th dimension and the 5th dimension, which is ultimately where whatever beings exist beyond, or whatever universe that the main character enters into, is entering into a 5th dimensional tesseract, I think they call it. And the movie never really explains that effectively, and that might be the reason why A, the movie is not regarded as highly as it is, and B, the movie could have been better if they'd done a better job. Now, you would think that if there were ever the type of place for which that argument, made within the confines of maybe 1 to 2 minutes at the absolute maximum in a free-flowing, long-running video essay, could be explained at length, it is at a message board where movie discussion is the order of the day. Let's say Reddit movies, r/movies. This is where this kind of conversation should happen. And if everybody there is familiar with his work, for which became pretty clear when you were reading the comments, it would be well worth pointing out to say, well, he didn't make a big deal about it, but this is kind of rare for him that he would point out something like that in a movie that he was praising. But no, the number one comment that you see on Reddit is, yeah, I find it really annoying when he does this gravelly Satan voice thing, which he does to great aplomb. I think it's really funny. Now listen, all criticism is on some level good criticism. Really, the only thing that you need to figure out is how much criticism becomes toxic. Like, you need a little bit of medicine to make yourself better. And you can stockpile as much medicine as you need that you can ingest at your own pace. But it's when you ingest too much medicine that all of a sudden the cure becomes the curse. So the reason why I even stumbled into this is because I saw Mikey going back and forth with a bunch of other well-regarded, amazing artists and entrepreneurs. Among which, that spring to the top of my head, are Max Temkin of Cards Against Humanity and John Scalzi, the author. And they were very artist-forward, which is great. Artists got to stick together. Entrepreneurs got to stick together. Doers need to stick together. You need to support yourself and your fellow creator. But they were making the point that you just got to brush this stuff off. And Mikey was making the point, well, I think it's important to read it. But it got me thinking about criticism in general and how we react to it. And I kind of came up with my law of infinite criticism. Because we think, I think often, that criticism is just, a black fly in your Chardonnay, to get all Morissettian about it. It is a gigantic white sheet of brilliance with a one fingerprint smudge on it. It is the interruption of a pattern of good feeling. I think that's how, in general, we look at it, especially when you put art into the world. Now, I think that speaks a lot to our human nature. We always want to see the best in things. We want the world to be better. We are hardwired for good feelings. But allow me to posit the following. And this got me thinking because Mikey was talking about different dimensions. So let's get all Rick and Morty about it. Let's understand that there are infinite dimensions playing out infinite and incomprehensible numbers of alternate universes, right? And each one of them is 1 degree off from the other ones. And so every different possible permutation of life is being played out as we speak. All of it, at all times. If we are to understand that that is reality, and all of those realities take in every possible permutation of life, then all criticism is both inevitable and constant. The world of criticism is not one black smudge on a gigantic white paper, but rather a series of black smudges. In fact, there's as much black smudging as there is paper. Both are infinite. Therefore, our relevant question, is not that we found criticism. It is rather how we found it, and more to my point, why. Because we often beat ourselves up for saying, I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm finding this out. I'm beating myself up. I'm diving into my Twitter ats. I'm diving into my YouTube comments. And I'm not saying that you should. I'm just saying that if you do, you should examine what that is. Because it's probably going to be helpful if you understand it. But don't fool yourself into thinking that you are just turning a corner and finding a bunch of random BS. If we've already structured our lives to not find criticism, and then we find it, it means we're looking for it. And the more we understand why that is, the better relationship we have with ourselves as to why we want to dissect everything that we do, the better off we're going to be. all criticism is infinite, and therefore we only find the criticism that is unique to us. That is my grand unifying theory of infinite dimensional criticism. Now, how's that? Did that come through? Could you hear me while I had my entire head up my own ass? We'll find out after this. I'm not even going to pretend like that made sense. All right. We made an announcement on Friday, and that was that I'm going to take politics from a 1 day a week show to a 3 day a week show. Here's the reason why I did it. I got a little frustrated. I got frustrated. We're negotiating with BitTorrent to take the podcast and me as a host to a 5 day a week situation. And we've been going back and forth for a little bit. You know, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. It looks like it will likely happen, but who knows? And I just got, I was trying to not, well, here, let me rewind a little bit. I was becoming very, very, very on edge. I was becoming very, very, very frustrated. Not necessarily with the negotiation, but with the status of not knowing. Because if I'm going to go from doing something once a week to 5 days a week, that's a gigantic step up. Because I know I can do it, but it's a life-changing move. To do something every single day is gigantic. And I know that there are two elements to this. I can't just survive doing a 5 day a week show on a fledgling network that needs to build buzz and needs to build audience and needs to build brand equity, needs to build viewership, needs to build excitement, needs to build Twitter followers and Snapchat followers. I got to be out there pushing it. And so I need to have the presence of mind to not only do the work, but also be out there to help promote it. And so I was just frustrated sitting in this limbo of not knowing whether or not this was going to happen and whether or not I was going to do a one mic show or do a 1 day a week show, or I was going to do a 5 day a week show. So we had a meeting, and it was a positive meeting, a very good meeting. We're going to have another meeting down the road, but I just made the call. For the sake of having control of my life, it would be better if this negotiation dragged on another month for me to be doing 3 days a week to get ready for it. And if it doesn't happen, then it's rad that we're doing a 3 day a week show. I've never done anything at this kind of regularity except maybe when I got really, really into the Weird Things YouTube channel. I think I did 3 videos a week then. And that was a pain in the ass. Oh, my God. This is the first time I've ever done a podcast at this regularity. And it's something I am so thrilled for. So thrilled for. I'm so excited, you guys. Because this is like the first time that I've felt, I feel like this. I've been very, very proud of this franchise, this me on the one mic thing franchise. I mean, aside from those random segments where I just literally go off and pontificate about nothing, about the nature of interdimensional criticism. What an idiot. I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm smart, and then sometimes I'm like, what the hell just came out of your mouth? Like, I know that made sense to you earlier in the day, but I have no idea why you would think it was so important that you needed to tell everybody about it on a show. That's really, you have an entire hour to talk about whatever you want. You have an entire hour, and this is what you do. That the world of, that in alternate universes, everybody's criticizing you if you add that up. And so therefore you should think about where you can, what the fuck does that even mean? I'm sorry if you're listening to this with your children. But honestly, your children need to know that I'm upset with me. Back to politics. I'm very proud about where we've gone. I think that the In Your House tour was something fresh and exciting, and I was pumped to do it. And this is the first time that I feel, we could really, there's something about like a multi-day-a-week show, Like it gets into people's skin a little bit. It becomes a part of your life just that little bit more. And I think that we can really we can move the needle on this. We can crash into some of the politics categories, We can go to Apple and say, hey, look, we're doing a lot. We're doing big things. We're making really big moves. You got to put us on the front page. You got to make us a staff pick. There's a lot that we can do now that we're doing it 3 days a week. If we do it 5 days a week, it's even bigger. It's even better. But it's really something that I'm excited about for this community. Because everything moves and changes, and things come in and come out, and people's passion rises and waxes and wanes. I've been very, very blessed and fortunate that you guys have always been here for me, and especially with this particular program. But I feel like it's about time for us to get our due a little bit out in the mainstream. I feel like what we do is unique. I feel like what we do is special. I feel like the community that we have built around all of our shows is very, very unique. It is a cooperative. It is an emotional cooperative that is loosely wrapped around a lot of these shows. Now, we're going to have Dragon Con next weekend. That is usually our own little moment where as many people that can gather in Atlanta, Georgia do, and we have a great time. People who have never met each other but have seen each other in chat can now shake hands and hug. People can exchange stories, phone numbers. Relationships can be made, sometimes stickily. Ew. But I feel like this is something we can make a run on. We can look at politics as a different kind of show in a well-worn genre and say, you want to know what Diamond Club is? It's a different kind of internet community in a well-worn genre. We're not a fan club. We're not here to gather around a couple personalities. We are here for each other. And that's what I'm excited about with this politics thing. I think that we're on the verge of something. And I've felt it since early this summer. I feel like we're bubbling. We're bubbling. And we're about to pop. And I think this could be part of that. So I want to thank everybody for not only supporting this Patreon, because patreon.com/JuRY is the root of all of this. I want you guys to know that. I think I mentioned it on this show before, but part of these negotiations with BitTorrent, I probably shouldn't be talking about any of this, by the way. I'm a really, really crap businessman. But part of these negotiations are monetary. And I have the ability to look at something and say, hey, this is just what my people think I'm worth for an hour. I'm giving them more on top of that, but that number is an hour. And so now we can negotiate. Now we can say, hey, look, maybe I'll give you this kind of discount, that kind of discount. But just so you know, this ain't me hiding. This ain't me fudging numbers. Look at that number right there. And if you want to know what the going rate of a weekly hour of my time is, That's what it is. So if you're asking me to do times 5, then that conversation's got to start right there. Because if it ain't, there ain't a whole lot to talk about. And that's something that I don't think has ever really happened before. I don't think that, like, it's ever been that powerful because it's never been that open. It's never been kind of out there like that before. But it is now. And you guys did that. You guys did that. I'm happy that I can do a fraction of what I think my potential is, and you guys have rewarded me with that kind of faith. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very, very excited for this opportunity, and I'm really, really, really pumped to bring you guys more of it and more of the daily grind JuRY. For this reason, I think that, like, a daily show or a 3-day-a-week show, something more often than a week, is going to necessitate a lot more horse crap. And I think that we do horse crap really well. I think you guys love hearing us talk about random stuff, and I think I love talking about it more than I like talking about the serious stuff. Like, literally, I would love to talk more about which president could do the most sit-ups than I would like to talk about the polls of the day. I would like to know the most embarrassing email on Hillary Clinton's email server more than I would like to know the most legally actionable. Like, that's just who I am. That's how I'm hardwired. And that's what I'm excited to bring everybody. Because I think everybody who listens to that show, and this show specifically, you know, you want a little something to bring back to your friends. You want a little something to bring back to your family. That's what great podcasts are all about. Something that you can spread, an idea. That's why Savage Lovecast is so popular. That's something where it'll rattle around your head the next time you're in a situation where some of that advice might apply. I want to do that. But, you know, for horse shit. I mean, or I can just keep talking about stupid infinite dimensions. God, what an idiot. More after this. Oh. All right, I don't know really how to do this particular topic in under 10 minutes because we got to leave time to read all these emails. But I got to thinking about something. Triggering moments. Now, I know that this is something that's come up a lot about, like, you know, the idea that you know, you want to warn people that topics that are going to be discussed might trigger past traumas. I'm not really talking about that. I'm not really talking about, you know, what we know as, you know, triggering or something like that. Longtime listener to this show hit me up on Facebook, or sorry, Twitter, I think, and was like, hey, man, I cringed when you said safe spaces. Because I think at the beginning of the show, I said, I want this to be a safe space for people to be open and emotional. But safe spaces has brought up a whole nother nomenclature. So I'm going to use the word triggering, but I don't necessarily mean triggering in the way that people talk about triggering. Does that make sense? Trigger warning for talking about triggering. Okay. I have this thing with my anxiety where everything can be very, very cool. Everything can be totally rad. And then if I see the right email or I get the right phone call, my entire mood changes. And it might not even be a bad email. It might not even be a bad phone call. It's just as soon as the one little thing happens, my entire day is altered. Now, I can rebound, and part of my maturity has been trying to deal with that better. But for a while, it used to be emails from my boss that I would get an email and I would hold my breath. Like my pulse would just raise, right? And maybe that email was just a random, link to something that we were talking about earlier and wasn't necessarily bad. But the fact is that the pulse got raised because of it, and I would still have to kind of ride that anxiety wave back down to normalcy. So I was just thinking about that because, I was walking back from hanging out down in downtown Oakland, and somebody had a problem with their contender package. So it popped up on my phone, and I immediately had this kind of flashback to a time when I was doing online inventory and shipping for Andrew Main, my old business partner. And that would be something that would be a problem at times, and it would give me anxiety. And I had this flash up of oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And then I kind of it all receded. It's you ever graduate from school but then still have dreams about missing a test for school? It was something like that, but it was in real life, and it caused me kind of this elevated heart rate and anxiety. So I'm curious whether or not anybody listening has had something like that before, and whether or not you've been able to get over it. Even if periodically it still gets at you, if by and large you've been able to make progress on the issue. Because I think this is another one of those isolating little things where everybody thinks that they're the strange one because it happens to them. But I think it's fairly common. But I don't know. You guys let me know. JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Again, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Things that it's not even light the fuse, because light the fuse, it insinuates that you are going to eventually get to a big boom. This is what triggers your anxiety. Emails, phone calls, seeing someone, whatever it is, seeing an advertisement. Let me know. JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Put JuRY in the subject line. Again, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Put JuRY in the subject line. We got a crap ton of emails, and they're all coming up right after this. Again, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Again, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com is where you go to send me your emails. So to recap for people who didn't listen to last week's show, told a little story about Gen Con, where I was watching the amazing and talented Double Clicks perform. I'd hope to see them again this weekend. They're going to be at Dragon Con too, so hopefully I'll be able to run into them. And you should too, if you are going. Please seek them out and let them know that Diamond Club loves them. But the Double Clicks played a song, and one of the lyrics said, you say proud when you mean impressed, or you should say impressed. I can't remember what the lyrics were. And I speaking of a triggering attempt, I had a bit of a panic attack because I say I'm proud of people all the time, and I didn't know that people took that in any way other than a very high compliment, which is how I've meant it. So I immediately started thinking back at times where I've done that, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe that this is, have I been insulting like the people that I find the coolest in the world? So I asked you guys about it, and you guys wrote a ton of emails. Shauna writes, I'm a social worker, and a couple months ago I was doing some group work with individuals who have developmental disabilities. We were discussing words and phrases which are used which were insulting and hurtful, and how to handle the situation when others use hurtful words. Surprisingly, 2 phrases that they all agreed they disliked and wished other people would stop saying were, I'm proud of you, and you're so brave. After a long conversation and a lot of insightful discussion, we came to 2 conclusions. First, the reason these phrases are hurtful has more to do with where they are coming from than the actual words. Often, for people with disabilities, I'm proud of you can come from a place which is insincere and condescending. The second conclusion we had was that our relationship with the person saying I'm proud of you can affect the message. When someone we love or respect says that they are proud of us and they are being genuine, it is a wonderful compliment. When someone we do not know very well or do not respect says that they are proud of us, it can be insincere and insulting. Thank you very much, Shauna. And that is certainly, I think, a general theme that we'll see pop up a little bit more in some of these other emails. I very much think who is saying it is very important, because I have always offered it, because again, this is all about me. I have always offered it to people that I at least have seen part of their journey. And I feel like at least I know that they have demonstrated creativity, ingenuity, and bravery to get where they are when I am paying them that compliment. So that's part of the puzzle. Let's go to Warcow. Warcow writes, the difference between pride and impression is that pride is something that you own, whereas an impression is something that you are given. When you tell someone you are proud of something that they did, you are taking some ownership of that thing. In an instance of a close loved one or a friend, pride is usually more accepted because the artist or person who is achieving can see at least some role the person giving the compliment has said. Whereas when you use it for someone whom you have no direct connection, you are in part claiming their work. Aha! Ha ha! I think we are getting closer. Thank you so much, Warcow. Zach writes, so when I hear proud, I feel like someone is saying that they have a stake in what you did. They somehow helped and are taking a small or large amount of the credit. When my parents or someone really close to me says it, or proud to know you, that's fine. That's either just legit or talking about how they feel. Admittedly, when I first heard you use proud the way you tend to, I thought it was kind of weird, but I realized that you didn't mean it that way. See, this is exactly what I was worried about. I was worried about this. Oh, Zach, you've confirmed all my fears, but thank you. You are brave enough to tell me. Although I think that might be another thing that we're going to see come up again. Proud to know you. Not necessarily I am proud of you, meaning I am above you and I am bestowing upon you my pride, like you are the pride of my loins, but rather I'm proud to know you. Like, I think you're so awesome, I would brag to somebody else that I know you because I would like to bask in your glory. John writes, I'm in the middle of listening to this week's episode of JuRY, and I want to take a minute to give you my take on proud versus impressed. It sounds to me like the difference between proud and impressed may be one of not necessarily ownership, but investment. Parents are proud of their children, mentors are proud of their proteges, and patrons are proud of the creators they invest in. So if you feel like you contributed directly or indirectly to someone's success, and you're pretty sure that they see it the same way, it's appropriate to say you're proud of them. For everybody else, it's better to stick with impressed. I can certainly tell you, John, I will be sticking far more with impressed. Tyler writes, so concerning the use of proud as a compliment, I think it can carry some baggage. When you tell someone you're proud of them, it assumes that you are a person for whom the person getting the praise should desire approval from. There's another key phrase, desire approval. I think that's why people could feel like it puts them lower. That said, I don't think it has to. I think the reason most people would use the word proud instead of impressed is because it shows that they have an investment in the person that they are complimenting. If I tell you, hey, Justin, I'm proud of what you've done with your show and the entertainer you've become, it's because I've had some level of investment in you and your work by listening to you for years. If it were this first time I'd seen or heard you, I would tell you I'm impressed. I feel like I just need another phrase. I feel like I just need something that gets to the core of what I mean with this. Like, I envelop you with the light of my soul. I want to wrap the warmth that I feel that is generated by your work around you like a blanket. I'm sure there's a very long German word that sums this up perfectly. Final email on this subject. No, sorry, two more. Crash writes, regarding your thoughts concerning the phrase of proud of you, I have this to submit. As a grammar nerd, I have the habit of autocorrecting other speeches in my head. I'm not quite so much of a tool that I would ever say it out loud, but still, when I hear the phrase I'm proud of you, I assume the speaker actually intends to say I'm proud to know you, unless, of course, the speaker is known to be a condescending twat. So I suggest I'm proud to know you as a replacement compliment, and furthermore, that for the most part, everyone should take the compliment that way from non-parental figures at any rate. And finally, Logan writes, I'm perfectly fine with the worst of the use of the word proud to your equals or betters. My friends and I frequently tell each other that we are proud of one another's various accomplishments we achieve in school and creativity. We are all liberal arts majors. Of course. Friggin' millennials. And just in general life practices. I love you guys. While I know the ethics of using the word is subjective, I would propose that people who take offense when somebody is proud of them probably have a personal issue with authority, probably the kind of people who have never liked their bosses, don't like the government, and maybe even had problems with their parents as a child. Thank you, Logan. I need a new phrase. That's what it is. I need some kind of not to sound like some kind of stereotypical 1990s script about a Native American, but I just need to have one of those, I see you, Jacob Scully. I need one of those. I need a may the old grandmother kindly baking cookies within me offer those cookies to you for your achievement. I need something. I need you guys to help me out. JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Yes, please email in new I'm proud of you replacements. Forever ago, we did a thing on this show where you guys submitted names that I could use to order my eggs because Overhard was so often botched, and we got so many great ones. Let's do that again with this. I need your best I'm proud of you replacements, JustinRobertYoung@gmail.com. Two more emails that were not pride related. Stefan writes about the jag-off, jerk-off, jack-off debate. Jag-off equals funny. Hey, you jag-off. Jerk off equals something that you do, aka excuse me while I go jerk off, and jack off is the result of jerking off, which makes it the worst of the three. Did you get some jack off on your face? Although I really love the idea of jack off as a noun, I don't know if that's totally clear. Thank you very much. Anyhow, Steven. And finally, oh my God. I need to order my emails better. I need to order my emails better. Why do I put we've had, I feel, a really great show. And we really hit a flow with the email block. You know, I feel like Casey Kasem, but I'm going to yell at myself. You come out of those up-tempo numbers, and we got to go to a goddamn death dedication about a dead dog. All right, Carrie writes, in my dream, I attempted suicide. I don't remember any of the details, though. I woke up with a tear-soaked pillow and one of the worst feelings I've ever felt. I sat on the sofa snuggling my dog. When my husband woke up, he knew something was wrong and kept asking if I was okay. I kept saying yes. I got the same question from my coworkers. I was embarrassed to tell him or anyone about this. For the next few days, I'm still feeling it. Slowly it got better, but thinking about it now still brings me a few tears to my eyes. I do have depression and anxiety, but I've never been suicidal. It still amazes me how this one dream that I don't even remember can affect me, has affected me so much. This is obviously in reference to the dream that I had. I had a very weird, funny, silly dream that involved me snorting coke at a drug-free bowling alley. Thank you so much for sharing, Carrie, about the power of dreams. I will say this. I had a dream that a close friend of mine died. And I don't know if I've ever been affected by a dream like that ever. You know, it was really, really affecting. And it made me think about what kind of friend I was and whether or not I would, if that were true, I would be happy with how I was as a friend to the person that died in the dream. And it made me really sad, and it made me call my friend. And I would say, hopefully for you, Carrie, that this is obviously a dream that certainly affected you, but ultimately was better in the long run that you had it and you would have a safe space within yourself that you could compartmentalize and diagnose some of the feelings that very often go into people's psyche and obviously have them go into bad places. I really didn't put anything else after that. Should have, you know what? Like, should I have put the jack off, jerk off, jag off email after that? Or would that have been just as bad? I should have kept them as far away from each other as possible, right? That's the answer. The answer is don't put the jack off, jerk off, jag off email anywhere near the I had a dream where I committed suicide email. Like, it makes me so happy that I have a show where people are sending both those emails in the same week. Like, that is the pride and joy of my life. But I need to keep them apart because, like, we can't swing back and forth like that. I want to thank Dadak for the music, soundcloud.com/DATAK-2. Email justinrobertyoung@gmail.com. Jury in the subject line if you would like to have your emails read on the show. Twitter, Instagram, Justin R. Young. If you're still listening to this and you're on Snapchat, give me one of those like British FUs. Like it's like you're giving like a backwards peace sign, but you're shoving it upward. Give me one of those British ones right there on Snapchat. I'm Justin R. Young on Snapchat. Give me one of those, and if you're really listening, go while you're doing it, like British people do. I got to get ready for London. I'm going in October. Of course, hashtag join the conversation at diamondclub.reddit.com. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are proud, if you are impressed, if you have your entire head up your own ass because you want to do a monologue about dimensionality and criticism, if you are going to be listening to the 3 times a week politics, you better make sure that you subscribe on iTunes. You better make sure that you write a review on any platform that you're on. And you better make sure that you are listening tomorrow morning, Monday. We begin our first politics. But more importantly, if you're going to do any of those things, then remember that your old pal, Justin Robert Young, is telling you to please. Don't
Just shines back at me.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.